session. So let's start there. So we'll just start walking around the room and just tell us your name and where you're joining us from. And I'm going to start with you, Pam, because you're right below me.
My name is Pam. I live in Sutter Creek, California. It's a small town in Northern California. And I really enjoy these sessions.
Oh, great.
Glad you're here. Sue, I don't see your face, but I see are you there, Sue?
There she is.
Oh, we're on mute.
Oh.
The other one.
Hit the little microphone thing there at the bottom. There's usually the little.
Yeah, she got the camera, but not the microphone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. I changed rooms so that I could use the video, but then I heard you were recording, so I did not mean to go on video because I don't want to be recorded.
That's totally fine. Yeah, we can. We know you're there.
What do you record it for?
We sometimes share this with our group just because they like to know what the coffee chats are like. So usually on a topic like budget travel, where lots of people are interested, we share that with the Travel Collective group. So.
Okay. I live in Orange County, California, and I forgot what else you wanted to know.
That's all. Just
that's
your
fine.
name and where you're from, Sue. And yeah, we know you're there, so we've already seen you, so that's okay. If you don't want to be recorded or on video, but as I said, we do this for safety reasons, for our own benefits, also to make sure everybody's on video at least at some point, because we've had hijackers in the past couple of years.
Oh my gosh.
That we've done this where they're not actually
people get creative on how they hijack and where that goes. So, whether you're being recorded or not. So.
Yes, they come in and take over the meeting. So we just want to make sure you're a person. And then Alex, you can introduce yourself there. I see your.
Hi. Okay, my name is Chong Ho Alex Yu. I live in West Covina, California.
Welcome, Chung Ho. Okay, got it. And Adrian, you're next.
So, hello to everyone. My name is Adrian, and I am joining you from the Eastern Hemisphere of planet Earth, in particular, the lovely Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland.
Love it.
Yep. And April, your turn.
Yep. My name's April. I'm joining from Las Vegas, and I got my coffee going. And Cindy.
Yep. Cindy Cohen. I'm in Los Angeles. So I'm here with my coffee also, because it's coffee chat. I would be drinking coffee otherwise. I drink coffee, coffee chat or not. And so today we wanted to chat about budget travel, and we'll just talk about tips and ways that we make travel less expensive for ourselves. April and I chatted a little bit before this. We're going to kind of steer away from conversations about how to get good air flights or how to use your points and miles. Those are all great tips for saving money, but they're complicated, right? Like we could get down that path and then the whole meeting will be taken over on what to do. Plus it's a constantly ever changing thing. So maybe we need to have a special a session on that. I think we could probably do a points and miles session and invite some of our experts. I don't do that, but I know some folks do. But let's just talk about how we save money and what we do to make our, travel more budget friendly for us. We have a new person. Hi, Val.
Hey, Val. Thanks for joining. Can you hear us?
Are you there, Val? All right, we'll hold up. Maybe they're having some audio issues. Okay, so we'll go back around the room and let's talk about some of the things that you do to make your trip more budget friendly. We have some suggestions of things to talk about, April. I mean, I don't want to give people some ideas of what they should be thinking about.
As far as budget travel,
like
ways that they, save money on activities.
Sorry. I'm getting an Amber Alert on my phone.
Oh, I was like,
what is that? Yeah.
What is that? Oh no.
Weird. Okay, it's gone.
All right. Yeah, so we want to go around and share what is something you do to save money on your trips or travels that doesn't involve airfare or
so like how do you get lower cost food, entertainment? Where do you look to find tours that are lower cost? What do you do for lodging to change that up and make that more budget friendly? There's a handful of things I have in my head to share.
I know, I have a lot.
We'll start with a few things. I'm going to start with Pam because I know she probably has some. She has to have a couple that she does.
I am planning a trip right now to Ecuador for January. And
Nice.
one thing I'm going to do is, well, find places that include a really big breakfast in the price. Because a lot of places have omelets and fruit.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, if I have a meal like that, you know, I just really can forgo lunch, maybe stop for a glass of wine and a little hors d'oeuvre somewhere. And another thing I'm looking at are kind of more family inns that are, not only are they more budget minded, but you really get to interact with the family, which to me is really important when you're in a different country. But I'm looking at ones where they have a communal kitchen. So, so if I want to bring something I pick up at a market and heat it up and have my own glass of wine, and it will be really easy, relaxing, and also save a lot of money, because restaurants, you know, even though I do look at good budget ones, but you know, it's expensive by the time you have your tax and your tips and your drinks.
Yeah, actually, that's great tips, Pam. I'm glad you're looking at those kinds of things. The communal kitchen is like the #1 thing in my, you know, option for lodging, is to see if there's at the very least, you know, like a refrigerator and something like a microwave or a hot plate where I can cook something. Those two things make a huge difference in, you know, your budget, right? Like, because you can buy something, you can bring it back, and
Right.
Yeah,
you can pop into a local grocery store or find someone that's just, you know, you're right. Instead of sitting down and tipping, and also time wise, I find it saves, you know, being cautious with your time, because your time there is so valuable.
Yeah, we have had a whole session on alternative eating when you're traveling, because it you know, you have to eat all day long, right? You're eating several times a day, and it consumes a huge amount of time, and you want to like save your budget, your dollars for like the nice place to eat, not just nourishment. Like, it's right, if you just need nourishment, it's better to do other things like what you're suggesting, Pam. And when you're saying you're doing like the family run ins, that's what you're looking at. Yeah, because I
feel they're a lot safer also, because it's usually just the family there. You know, have all kinds of other maids and people in your room.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And there's less people to, like, you get to know them. They're protective of their environment. You're right in the numbers. I was thinking, as you were saying, you're going to save money on entertainment, because if you're in a family lodging, you'll probably spend more time talking with them. That's and an hour chatting with somebody from that, you know, family or whatever would, you know, suffice as a history tour of the, of the location, right?
Or they might know of local things happening, whether it's a sports event, even if it's a little school event, you know, like a sporting event that might be unique and fun. That you want to go, you'd have a more local experience, a more unique experience. That would be fabulous. Or music too. A lot of times they go to different places than quote.
Because they're locals.
Yeah, they're locals. And then you get a real flavor, not just the put on show that they do for the
sitting amongst a group of tourists.
Right. Yeah, that's a great idea. We have a couple of people join. Oh, Natalia's joining. Great. That's fantastic. So Alex, or do you want to share, do you have any tips for budget travel when you're traveling?
Yeah, okay. So I have several. And when I travel inside a city, then I do not rent a vehicle. I just use Uber. So, you know, okay, besides saving money, okay, now, you know, okay, rental car is more expensive. And also, you know, save money from parking, more importantly, liability.
Oh,
yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. Absolutely. And well, I use public transportation, but Uber and walking, if you're in a city, not using a car. Cars are so expensive. You're right, Alex, because parking is outrageous in most cities. And especially if you're not using it every day, like you're paying for it to just sit there in the parking lot. Yeah.
And also second, and when I check in the hotel, then usually I will look for, okay, brochure in the lobby for coupons. You know, usually, you know, some okay attractions like a museum and so on, they put down like, you know, 10% off, $5 off when you present the brochure, the coupon. So I will go there and find, you know, those coupons. Okay.
That is a smart tip, to go down to the lobby, because you're right. And even if you're not staying in that hotel, if you just go in a big city, if you pop into the lobby of the Marriott or whatever corporate hotel, they have a huge rack. And you're right that they have these brochures. And if you look on the back, oftentimes there are coupons. That's an excellent tip.
Yeah. As he was talking, I was thinking about, you know, almost in the United States anyway, but even in other locations, most museums have a free day.
Yes.
So
good idea.
Right. You know, so you just have to do your research and planning ahead of time, right? Because there's a couple of, when I go to New York City, the Museum of Contemporary Art is always free on Friday. So I always leave my Friday afternoon free. It's crazy because everybody's going because it's free, but then I don't have to pay for my entrance, and I just plan to go there and have dinner afterwards. And but you just have to look those up to find out which, you kind of have to do that ahead of time, because you might miss it.
Right. Or you'll be there on the wrong day.
Right. You'll be there on the wrong day. Mm-hmm.
I think it's Bank of America too that posts, they have, if you're a card holder, they have participating museums all over the United States and the world that have free weekends, like Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, and there are two more things. And ask. Okay, always ask. So when I before I buy a ticket, you know, then although you know, although you see the price list and but ask, excuse me, is there a discount for AAA member, for ARP member, for a teacher, for a professor, for, you know, and so on. Then I found out it's interesting. There are always, you know, some discount not post on their list. And the second, well, plan ahead. When I reserve, you know, for something major, like, you know, a really pricey ticket. I'm saying, you know, like over $100. Then I go to the website and I just sign up the newsletter. But I did not buy the ticket right away. I just sign up. And then later I received an email, you know, welcome to the newsletter. Here's your 10% discount.
That's a great tip, Alex. I love that.
Smart. I love that. Yeah.
Because they often will do, you're absolutely right. Don't buy the ticket, get their newsletter and wait a couple weeks. And when you get the newsletter, they'll give you a discount on the ticket because they're trying. Lovely. Perfect advice. I love this.
Yeah, great stuff. Oh
and
asking. I love how you pointed out just to ask when you show up somewhere, because you're right. A lot of times there's prices on there that they won't. And if, you know, sometimes it's the way you ask, they'll often just punch something in for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I'm thinking again, another New York, the Met is, when you look at that, I think the tickets to go to the Met, it'll say, I think it's $20 or something. It's pretty expensive. But the truth is it's a donation, and it's pay what you want. And that's not advertised either. So everybody pays the $20. But when I looked on their website and read it, I was like, oh, and I asked a local, I'm like, so what do you do? And she said, just go up and give them $5. Just walk up and just say, this is my donation, and they'll give you a ticket, no questions asked. Like, just because they don't advertise it, because they want you to think the ticket is $20, so you'll pay for it. But you just read the fine print and you realize it's
and
I went to New York for several years and had no idea I was paying the full price to go in there every time. And I was like, God, this is crazy.
Right.
So yeah, just asking the question. And AAA is another good thing too. We always forget that AAA will get you something, as well as, like, you know, discount on meals. Like, you could stop, especially at chain restaurants if you're doing a road trip, April, right?
Yeah.
Lots of places to do that. I see Natalia has joined us. Thanks, Natalia, for joining.
Hello.
Hi. We did our introductions, but you want to introduce yourself and where you're from so everyone knows?
Okay, so my name is Natalia. I'm from Moscow, and I'm so grateful to be in this community and having conversation and tips. So as well as sharing and getting.
Thanks for joining, Natalia.
Thanks, Natalia. Yeah, good to have you here again.
All right, so we have Val and Sue who are both on mute. Sue, do you want to share some tips? Maybe you have some budget tips that you are interested in sharing with us?
I don't really have any. That's why I'm here.
Okay, totally fine. Val, are you there? Do you want to share anything? All right, she wasn't able to get herself off last time either. So we're going to move to Adrian. What do you got for us? You have ideas, I know.
Yeah. Well, as far as traveling is concerned, I would say that one of the best tips that I can give is, whenever you're planning to go somewhere, always try and book your tickets, whether they're, plane or train or ferry tickets or anything else, as far as in advance as possible, because many times especially with what's been going on in the last 2 years in the world, prices always keep on changing, they skyrocket, then they go down, etc., etc. So I mean, sometimes I would like to book travels as far as half a year earlier, so it totally makes a difference in comparison to, for example, planning your trip way ahead, like let's say June, July, if you're in January, because if you just decide you want to go somewhere all of a sudden, and then your trip is supposed to be in a couple of days, you would experience prices that are not really friendly in a sense, and so that's most probably going to put off quite a lot of people. So yeah, I would say that just book your travel tickets as early as possible, because sometimes you can get traveling tickets for really ridiculous prices, such as like 4, 5, 6, 7 times as less as you would have do it a couple of days before the travel. And another tip I would like to give is that if you book a hotel somewhere, or a hostel or a motel like you have in the US, whatever it might be, many times it could be a good idea to just call these people and ask them directly for some advice. What would be the best transport company to get from the airport to your hostel or hotel, etc. What would be the best service that I can get in terms of this or that? Can you recommend any seasonal discounts that you have, etc., etc.? So yeah, communicating with the people with which you'll be, engaging in a sense, like a hotel is one of the best things that you can do, just so that you can get a good idea of, what you can expect in a sense.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, right, April? Pick up the phone.
Just pick up. You're right. That's an excellent tip, Adrian. And one that we totally suggest people do is, it's so easy. We make it so easy now to book online, but if you actually picked up the phone and talked to someone, if you're going to an area you're not familiar with, they are going to be able to help you navigate. Hey, there's a train, perhaps. I know this spring, there was a free bus in the tourist area, and most people probably walked right past the map in the lobby and didn't even, the ladies at the front desk know that, but if people don't ask, they're not going to share that. They're just checking people in. They're doing their job.
Right. Yeah. I think asking it, and before you book, like, I think just like Alex's suggestion is sign up for the newsletter. If you find a hotel or a lodging that you want to book at, before you book it, call them up and say, I'm considering booking this. The price is a little, steep. They might upgrade your room. They might, because it's, especially if it's a smaller place, they might give you a few things because you're talking to them on the phone, as well as, offer tips and other things. So because we don't get a lot of phone calls anymore, you'll be the special one.
Right, exactly.
For having called. Yeah. Natalia, do you have any budget tips for travel that you've had?
Yes, I think so. I recommend maybe checking all your spots which you would like to visit before you're arriving to the country, because I remember I was in Italy and the train was closed and other spots and it was really not nice to face with this. And just check everything that you would like to visit and then go there, or ask for advice, for example. And as well as a good tip to travel on your birthday, because there are many hotels, or especially local hotels in around the world. They offer normally they offer a great discount for your living, and other stuff like they have a great partnerships, and for example some restaurants or some I don't know, maybe events, you can get discount from them. It's really good because I love traveling for my birthday, on my birthday, and it's my very old tradition, and so it's great tip. And I think yes, and check in everything.
Yeah, I always travel for my birthday too, Natalia, but I didn't think about asking for letting the hotel know, like, because you just let people know. You'd be surprised how many you might get that night free or discounted, or definitely have gotten free meals on your birthday. So that's pretty cool. Or
dessert, an extra piece of dessert. Or, you know, even in Vegas, I'm surprised how many things they have like for free, or like you said, Natalia, like half off, deeply discounted if it's your birthday. And I think the boat to Catalina
is free on your birthday.
Free on your birthday.
Yeah, there's a lot of
actually they can upgrade your living, like if you like have a general suite, and they can upgrade it, and you can get more comfortable room or whatever.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great tip.
Now I'm thinking about where I'm going to go for my birthday.
I know, right?
Yeah. I also think, like, I don't know if it was Adrian, but somebody was talking about it. Sometimes you just find the ticket. Like if you're on Kayak or one of those tools and just sort of watching where the tickets are cheap, and sometimes you just have to be flexible to be a budget traveler, because it's like, you know, I wasn't sure I wanted to go to Iceland, but when I saw the ticket was $300, it's like, well, maybe that's where I'm going, right? You know, it's like, that sounds like a really, so the watching those, because especially if you're flexible, right? Like I will go anywhere in the world. I love to travel, right? So if you look on those sites and you see a deal, it's like snap that up and just go for a couple of weeks. The ticket is the airfare is actually, you know, the biggest thing, but you can watch for things like hotels and other things. I was thinking about Alex's suggestion about the newsletter. I know when I traveled long-term a few years ago, one of the things I would do is look online for the sort of popular chain restaurants in that city as I was going. And then I would go see if they had a deal, because a lot of times it's like sign up for this membership, get a free sandwich, or sign up and get a free coffee and donut. I got that in New York. I mean, and they just send you the coupon because you signed up for the newsletter. And so here I had this whole collection. I mean, it's chain restaurants, but I was traveling long term and I was absolutely trying to keep my budget down. And it was like, all right, I have coffee here and a sandwich here.
Oh, it's true.
My coupon lady, right? Like I got my coupons for things, but you know, it makes a big difference, right? In the long term.
Yeah, right.
Cost.
And double check too. I know, Alex, that was a good tip about signing up for the newsletter, but you're right, the chains, and double check the chains too for quote happy hours. A lot of times their happy hour menu is the same menu they're going to serve later, but if you go between 4 and 6 or something, you can get a full meal for, you know, save your money.
You get the whole sandwich. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
The $18 sandwich suddenly becomes $8. Yeah, that's a really happy hour. It's a good time to go for dinner. And I know we've mentioned also like having lunch for dinner, like switch up. I know Pam had said, you know, getting the hotels that have the bigger breakfast, like get your, you know, big meal in earlier in the day, so that you can, have just a lighter meal at the end of the day and save that money.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to end a nice day sitting in a nice bar with a cocktail and an hors d'oeuvre,
There you go. Right.
Yeah. That's exactly the way you want to end every day.
Yeah. Okay. In Las Vegas, some restaurant they offer dinner. Okay, at a huge discount price. Okay, after I think 9 p.m. like you and other state, So one way to do that is that okay, go for a show and then have dinner later.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to shift when you have to, I think to be a budget traveler, you have to be flexible, right? You have to be able to do something a little different for sure. I know I bring coffee. We talked about that before because I always bring coffee and make it myself. And, because I drink so much coffee throughout the day, I'm not a one cup girl. So, and even that, if you're only getting 1 cup of coffee, if you have to spend $3-4 for that cup of coffee over a 10-day trip, that's quite a bit of money that I, could have spent on something else. So bringing my own coffee, bringing my own water, bringing my own snacks, doing, having a shared kitchen, Pam, as you said, like lots of those things make a huge, I think food and lodging are the big ones. Entertainment's hard to get it inexpensive. We talked about free tours. There's free tours on foot. There's a couple of organizations that offer free tours.
And I know Adrian, being a guide, sometimes there are different sites where you can tip the guide what you want for that trip. So
right.
Yeah, that's actually what a free tour means. It's a common misconception among some people that the tour is actually free, meaning price free. But the concept actually means that you are free to decide on how you want to evaluate the experience in terms of tipping the guide at the end. So that's what a free tour actually means. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you get to keep that money, right, Adrian? That's the other thing. It's like we're tipping you, so you get that, right? The company doesn't get that. So
yeah, that's a good point. There's no commission which is being taken. So
you're
always welcome for most guides, for sure.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I like about it is when I hand the money to the guide at the free tour, I know he or she gets to keep all that money, whereas when I pay it for the other, a percentage has to go to the organization that put it on. So it's free in that way as well. So it makes a huge difference when you're doing that. You can pick and choose what makes sense, because some people you're paying what's in your pocketbook, right? Like that's the other thing. There's young people and people who are on a budget and maybe can't afford as much, but somebody else who would normally pay 3 times what you're paying, they can choose to pay you more. So it works out. I think the math works out better for the guide because they get the money there. So
and kind of along that line, my dream vacation is to go to Africa. And so I've always been looking into it and where I want to go. But I really like going straight through and finding travel agencies that are from that country.
Yes.
A lot of times when you book something through a big American or worldwide company, they end up using them, but these people don't get as much money. It's more expensive for you. And it's so good when you travel to try to find whether they're day tours or some type of a safari or something like that. Do your research, find a place that has really good reviews and book directly through them.
Yeah, booking direct.
Oh yeah,
we talk about that. Like even with the hotels, you might find the deal on Expedia or something else, but just pick up the phone and call the hotel direct or call the tour company direct and skip the processing company, because you'll get it probably cheaper because they're not having to to pay the service.
Right, exactly.
And then all your money is going directly to the local community, which is a good feeling as well. Yeah, but finding those are hard. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here with the Travel Collective, is to kind of bring all of these small people to the surface so you can locate them easier.
And contact them direct. But yeah, that's totally our vision here, because again, there are guides that are in those countries, or like Aminia, who's in Canada, she goes to Uganda and Tanzania to do her photography and her tours, but she's already connected with the locals. So she's not part of a big agency. There's not an agency taking a cut. She's putting the money right back into the local schools, and the women, she teaches photography while you're there to these girls. And
such a cool
there's
thing.
Beautiful stories out there. Yeah. So we're trying to do the legwork and dig and find these people.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, you should.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you can put,
and she's doing, and it's for photographers and non-photographers. Like she said, it's not, you don't have to be a photographer, but she knows she's going to be connecting. She's keeping the group small. You're going to stay local. I think one day, a couple days while she's at the school, you can choose to either do that and be at the school with her, or she has someone to take you out and see the animals or something that day. So she's very hands-on.
Sounds fabulous.
I'm going to look her up real quick.
Can you describe your website at some point? I've never seen it before.
Yeah, you go ahead and describe it, April, and I'm going to drop the link to some of this stuff. I'll put the triple photo tour. This is
right. So the Travel Collective website is something Cindy and I have been working on kind of in our heads for the last couple of years, but essentially we started with Meetup. Both of us have had groups on meetup.com, which is a great place for any interest. And we both found we were both travelers in Los Angeles. I was in LA at the time, leading groups, and whether it was going for walks or meeting up for coffee like this, just to chat, just to meet other people that had a shared interest and love of travel. And then unfortunately, we all know what happened a couple of years ago. So we moved the coffee chat online, and it just opened our world up. We were like, oh my gosh, we can have coffee with Adrian. He's having his afternoon and he's in Edinburgh. Natalia is in Moscow and she can join us. So it really opened our world and our opportunities up. And all of a sudden I was able to connect, and Cindy and I are connecting with guides and just women that are creating tours, men that are doing like day trips, and it's just, so now we're trying to put it all in a place where other people like you can access it, and it's all free right now. We just want to share our love of travel. And we can't do it all, and I keep finding things I want to do. Like I want to go to Scotland and paint with Janet, and I want to go to Uganda. I mean, I want to meet Adrian the next time I go to Scotland. So Cindy and I are just trying to present this all and continue doing our free coffee chats just to converse. Like we get tips from you guys. I mean, you guys
we do
share things we didn't think of. I mean, I love Alex this morning, like he said, sign up for these newsletters, you know.
I don't know why I didn't think of that. You
can always unsubscribe later. I'm always concerned about like, oh, my email box is getting full, but after the trip, just go back and unsubscribe, delete, you know.
I
hope that answered your question, and I don't remember if it was Sue or Val.
Yeah, and I dropped all of the links in there. So there's a Facebook link to Amina, who's doing the Triple F photo tours, so you can find her there, Pam. And then we have the travelcollective.com, which is our website, which is where we're trying to bring all this stuff together that April and I've been doing for the last couple of years. There's a Facebook group, which is, you know, in the same vein of what we're doing here, which is connecting you with travelers. And then we have our YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, the YouTube channel.
Which is kind of
a lot of really interesting things on the YouTube channel.
Which has been an evolution over the last 2 years of us, you know, COVID keeping us from being able to interact with travelers in person. And we've done all kinds of things. We've interviewed hundreds. I think we have over 150 episodes on the YouTube channel. And we've interviewed travel providers and travelers who've done everything from hunt Bigfoot to Star Trek tours to, they do all, you know, travel is so many things to so many people.
And you can connect with them. I mean, like Lindsay, who's spent months in Mexico going from hostel to hostel. Again, a lot of us have a perception of Mexico and traveling alone, maybe. I mean, she's a beautiful example and person you can connect with. She's actually stayed in these places. Adrian, who we've connected with, we've got video from, I mean, he gave us we saw a whole bunch of Edinburgh, I think it was just last week. So the YouTube channel is, Yeah, you totally forgot that piece of our all the work we're doing.
All that, which is kind of how it all started. And as we've connected, we wanted to share it with you guys, which is where the website has come from. It's just like we have all these people who have all these great tours, and so we're really focused and niched in that sort of boutique travel providing group. So if they're a big company, we kind of put them out. They can go other places and use their marketing dollars somewhere else. But if they're a small, mom and pop kind of shop or a one-man show or whatever that is that they're doing their travel business, we want to help them promote that, because most of those businesses are passion businesses, and those are the ones you want to go on, right? You want to go on those tours where they like have a huge heart for wherever they're sharing with you or the travel. So it's just funny that they asked this question, because we don't usually talk about this in the coffee chat.
Usually we don't bring this up in coffee chat, but whoever asked, we're
so thank you for
share.
It's definitely our big deal. And this coffee chat is just an opportunity to talk to travelers, and we learn too. I'm sorry, Sue, did you have another question?
Yeah, the companies that you put on your website, have you tried them all out, or you vetted them and really?
We have vetted them. We make a point to, if they're promoting on our Facebook page or on our website, we have spoken to them individually, and oftentimes multiple times, like Adrian, who's here. He's on part of our collective of travel providers. And although we haven't taken his tours, he did take us on a walking tour just a couple of days ago, and we've talked to him several times, and we feel very comfortable recommending Adrian. And so we wouldn't put anybody else. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's just it, is the amount of hours behind the scenes that you don't see is endless. My husband often jokes, he's like, you go in that office in there and I don't see you till 5 o'clock. It's my passion. I've turned my passion for travel kind of into a job that's just passion. I don't get a benefit from connecting with Adrian. I get the joy of sharing with the other travelers what his passion is, which is showing a city that he relocated to. So he's got that passion of a traveler, just like me. Oftentimes people say, oh, well, you don't live in New England. It's like, no, but that makes me just as excited to share as like you, someone with new eyes. I've just been doing it since 2003. So I have stayed in all the places. I've gone down all those country roads. I'm just trying to save you the time.
Yeah, it's lots of fun. Yeah, so you can feel pretty comfortable. We should probably do a quick thing at some point just to talk about how we vet them, because we do interview and meet with everybody before we let them post too. So that's a good question. And we do make sure that they're valid businesses, and we share a passion with them. That's pretty much usually.
And there are people that we turn away too, if we feel like that they aren't quite in line with what we're after, or that they do have such a big budget, and they sense that too. They know that they don't have time for us, essentially, because we're asking in return, like Adrian, he's taking time out of his day to essentially give us half his tour when he took us to through Edinburgh the other day for free.
Yeah, all online.
So you got a sneak peek of that. So anyways.
It was an absolute pleasure for me. And just another tip I would like to add to the conversation we're having today. I personally think it's quite important to avoid being scammed as well.
Yes.
Avoid scams, because there's many people just out there lurking in the dark, just trying to basically trick you and scam you in whatever possible way they can do it. And most of the times they actually get quite good in that.
Yes.
In terms of advertisements and hiding their true, nature, etc., etc. So, if you're trying to book something like a hotel or a flight or whatever it may be, even like an event, I would say that from my own experience, at least, what I've learned is that it's good to research, sometimes do a quite good heavy research on that specific service, and maybe cross-reference it with at least other few websites that could have information about it, because that could save you quite a lot of headaches. Just going somewhere and then discovering at the very last moment you've been scammed, or just paying like 10 times the price when you could have got it for much less money. So just always stay vigilant, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good tip, Adrian. And that's why we try to meet everyone. So we don't want our travel providers that are posting on our Facebook page or on our webpage to be people we haven't, at least seen their face. If they're across the planet, we still get to connect via Zoom or some way and chat with them, know that they're a real person and that they have a passion for it. We've definitely done that with everybody. It's small enough now that we can still do that. And most of our travel providers come through word of mouth. Like a lot of them come because it's somebody who's either traveled there or somebody who works in that industry, and they recommend them to us. So it's a great, it's been a lot of fun. It's a passion project for us. Like the YouTube channel started out as like a way to connect, and then it just became like, this is so cool. The people we were meeting is so fun.
And like Adrian said, I mean, you can still do your homework. I mean, as you can see, Cindy and I are completely transparent. You can Google our names, you can, and that's the beauty of the internet too, is like Adrian said, it's kind of it's a double-edged sword. There's people out there that will pose as something, but if you do a deep search, and I know too, if there's companies and I'm not finding a face and a person that's willing to put their face on what they're providing, that might be a red flag. Go look up a LinkedIn profile, go see how long their Facebook page has been around, go see who they're connected with on that Facebook page, who else is part of that. Are those real profiles, or are those profiles you can quickly see
how long it's been there,
how long it's been there, if the profile has 1 or 2 people, question mark.
Yeah. And when we meet with folks, as we said, we've turned some folks away. Sometimes it's really obvious, like they're not in this for the same reason we are. We can tell. We ask sort of that founder story, which is, why are you doing what you do? And when they tell that story, like Adrian and others, they come alive, and it's like, oh, this is our person, because they love what they're doing. And others, it's more about, the money, like what they're selling, and they focus on that. And it's like, you're probably not for us, because we want our people to have experiences that are passion filled. And
when I know you're doing a lot on YouTube, which I am really starting to learn for all kinds of things, use it for language and all kinds of things. And you've got so many great things on your YouTube. But of course, if you're going someplace and you haven't found a good person, you guys don't have any information, looking at people's YouTube videos, just put in where you're going, and you see people that are locals, and you can just tell they have this love and this passion as you stayed. And you get such, like Adrian has for Edinburgh. In fact, I've got a good friend going there in July, so I'm giving her your information. But it's just a
it's a lot of fun. And if you want some help finding stuff, you can reach out to April and I. We're happy to help you connect with folks, and we can point you to the YouTube channel where there's like, if you say, I'm going to Seattle, we're like, here's the guy, or you're going to Edinburgh, here's the guy, or you're going to Japan, here's the person that you should reach out to for that. Because we probably in the 150 episode have talked to somebody in that location.
Reach out.
Reviews are quite good, I would say. Reviews tell a lot. If somebody is telling you that they provide the best possible service that you can get in Milano, for example, and then you go and check their reviews, if like the last 10 are like 7 or 8 1-star reviews, and you have just one like 3 or 4 stars, then that should be a red flag right there.
Yeah, and we look at all of that stuff. Matter of fact, we often are checking them out before we even talk to them. That first 15 minutes, we don't even waste that time if we can't get past a few of these things. So, well, we've got a few minutes. Do we want to keep on the budget?
We should circle back to, I know. Circle back to the budget tips.
I have a question that's related to budget.
Sure.
You can either sign up for a big group tour, or you can a la carte schedule everything on your own.
Right.
I was wondering which you recommend, and are there certain group tours that are less expensive companies and other ones that are way overpriced companies?
That's a hard question to ask, because we do both, right, April? I mean, we do group tours. We even offer them ourselves, as well as we help people do it independently. And so there's really, pros and cons on either side, right? there's benefits to being in a group because you have less to concern yourself with because someone else is taking care of all the heavy lifting. So if you do like an 8-day tour to Japan, for example, with Sheila, who does a great tour out there, you know, your days are going to be pretty much, you know, filled with amazing stuff, and you'll have some free time to yourself, but you don't have to think about where you're going to stay and worry about it if, for example, like my Iceland tour, where the hotel, the week before we left, I had 10 people going, the hotel flooded and they said, all your rooms are canceled.
Right.
I had like 5 days to scramble to find rooms for 10 people. So, but that was on me, right, Sue? So like if you plan your own, you'd have to take, you like own all of that risk and have to deal with that. If you're with a group, the tour provider kind of owns all of that risk as far as transportation and lodging. And, you know, if the restaurant is closed that they were planning to take you to, they have to figure that out. So I would say that budget wise, it's probably still cheaper to go on your own, but not necessarily, because if you don't know all the tips and tricks and things to see, you may be spending more money. So I would say budget wise, it's probably about equal. There are definitely some that are more, right, April? Like I'll stop talking, but that's what I'm thinking. It's like there's benefit in going, but there's also benefit on both sides.
Yeah, and I know we did a whole episode on this on the YouTube channel, but yeah, there's definitely, and this morning we were talking about solo travel or hiring someone to do an itinerary, even like Japan, like with Sheila. Even if you looked at her really unique tour, which is amazing, you might decide, you know what, I still kind of want to do it on my own to have a little more flexibility, or I want to stay longer here or there, or whatever you want to put together. You can reach out to those people. A lot of those people are your source to help you plan it yourself. And there's levels of planning, you know, maybe they'll do an itinerary review. I know I have clients that are going to New England, say, and sometimes it's just a matter of like, they want to pick my brain and they'll pay just a little bit of money to go over their itinerary and point out, you know what, you should spend a little more time here, maybe take this out, find out what your interests are. But it's all about asking a lot of questions. And the why, I think the why piece, like why you want to take this trip. Are you taking advantage of a bargain fare that you found, which is amazing and often works really well? Is the why because you want to find more like-minded travelers to travel with, which is a benefit of being in a group, right? And then finding the right group. I mean, there's groups for every interest. There's writing groups, there's walking groups, there's knitting groups. I mean, the value we have now with the internet has opened up the doors, and there's so many niche groups. And that's what, you know, like Cindy and I too are trying to find those and bring them to you. But I'll do a deep dive search just on an area and I'll find like New England, for example. There's book tours, there's walking tours, there's all kinds of tours. So you'll be with like-minded people. So it's kind of balancing what your goal is with the trip. And again, then the price, there's all kinds of levels of price. Like I know Pam was talking about going to Africa or South America or whatnot. You know, some people do have the budget and they want the high end. I want to stay in the really nice tent cabin on the, you know, where the animals are right there. But I want to have a, you know, all the luxuries of a meal and everything versus, you know, maybe something a little bit more rustic, you know, and that's where asking questions and what you're getting for your money. You know, again, if you're taking a Smithsonian tour, you're getting a Smithsonian level guide, or should be, and that's what you want to find out. Is my money paying for like the expert in Egyptology to share with me? You know, so there are values in those kind of trips. We're not knocking them. It's just, for us, we're looking at things, again, but going back to budget, you know, my budget, I'm not at that level. So I'm going to suss out a local guide like Adrian, who's passionate. He's been learning the history for the last umpteen years. There's people that live in these cities. We've connected with a gentleman in Philadelphia who has a background in architecture and art history. I mean, he's a professor and he's going to do a walking tour for $50 for, you know, half my day. That's totally worth it.
Yeah.
So,
I would definitely say that if you're talking, if the, you know, the question I think, Sue, you had is like plan it on your own or do a tour with a group. I actually think it's what April's saying. It depends on what you're trying to do, right? Like that really will depend. And it also depends on the price. But I would shy away from the big big companies doing it, because most likely they're not doing locals. Like, so those big companies that are doing big organized tours, and they may have a really great discount, but you're probably getting someone who lives, in Minneapolis, who's going to Scotland and telling you what's in the guidebook. They're reading it to you, right? And he's not Adrian. He doesn't live there. So the bigger tours, so they're just hiring people at the cheapest possible price to run the tour for you. I think that's probably what you're getting. And unless, of course, I mean, there are big companies that do a better job, absolutely, but some of those are not. So that's one of the reasons we focus on the boutique things. We are more likely to get passionate travelers and passionate folks. It's more, we don't have to do nearly as much research. We just have to connect with the face behind the name.
Yeah, and that is so true. Not to jump in, Cindy, but I met a woman who actually used to work for an agency, and she literally just got hired to lead a tour of the American Southwest. She's not spent time there. I'm not going to out her for it, but I mean, yeah, she's doing her research on her. She's doing her homework and going to go get on a bus with these people and lead it. And
she's
it's
never
like,
been.
oh, she's never been. And I'm like, oh, like my heart just was like cringing, because like for me, on my own tours that I lead or create, I can definitely 100% say, and if I'm going to create you something that I haven't been, I'm just upfront. I'm just going to be honest and say, you know what, I haven't actually been. I mean, I've been to Edinburgh, but I haven't been there 10 times. I've been there once. I'm going to connect you with Adrian for that day, or I'm going to have him join us for that portion if I'm putting the rest of the pieces together.
Right.
So
right.
It gets asking and researching and soul searching a little too, like what is your purpose?
Yeah, because a local can tell you so many things. A city doesn't just have history in it. There's places to eat, there's shopping also, there's all sorts of different activities. And if you're not really, living in that particular place for at least a period of time to know the really thin details of how things work, then, you might miss on quite a lot, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. And for Alex too, who mentioned like finding activities, if you meet up or contact Adrian, he's going to say, you know what, that restaurant closed last week. The locals are all going over here to this little restaurant, or on Tuesday night, there's a great little bar that's got local musicians playing. You might not know about that unless you connect with Adrian or meet up with him for his walking tour and pick his brain at the beginning or the end. So.
Right. But I'll go back and say, like, that's the benefit of a organized tour where you go with a group for 4 or 5 days or 20 days, whatever that is, or you try to plan it on your own, is you're taking on the risk when you do it on your own. I've definitely traveled, and I'm sure others have gone, where that, hotel or restaurant, or that was on your list, the museum is closed. Now what are you going to do with that 4 hours? Or now where are you going to spend the night? And if you're planning it on your own, you own that risk, and you have to figure it out in trip what to do. But if you go on a tour, you kind of alleviate that risk. They take on all of that for you. So in some ways it's less stressful. So for folks who are not comfortable traveling alone, or if you're going to a city you've never been to and maybe you're not comfortable with the language, and you're feeling way out of your comfort zone, maybe an organized tour is a better way to go. Or even like do it at the front end of your trip. Like if you're going to Scotland, maybe you do a 3-day tour with an organized group and then stay another 6 or so days now that you've gotten your legs under you. So that might be, you can do a little bit of both. There's lots of ways to do it, but I don't think that I don't think one is cheaper than the other, because it really just depends. Because I think April was talking, there are organized tours that are way out in the luxury, and there are some organized tours that are really budget friendly. I know even Sheila does a budget friendly, I think, London tour where makes it pretty inexpensive to go and has a great time. So yeah.
All right, back to budget tips.
Yeah. Any other questions or budget things we can talk about? I had something and I lost it. Look at my notes. Oh, I don't know who was talking about. Oh, it was Adrian who was talking about booking ahead of time. And something that I learned kind of the long way around was if you're going to travel, like once you get there, sometimes it's better to buy your ticket in country.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to Vietnam, we flew from the south to the north. We took a little internal domestic flight, and that was much cheaper once I got to Vietnam to buy that ticket than it was to buy from the States. And a lot of people have suggested that because you are honestly, you're presented with different options. Like if you look online and you start looking for it here in the US, the internet goes like, oh, you're a US, so they only give you things that are translated. You know, you're not getting things written in the language. So we just went to the hotel and said, you know, how do we get from here to there? What flight would you use, Mr. Local? And they told us, and we got a much better deal. And I think that's true even in Europe and other places. If you you know, if you have the luxury of waiting until you arrive to purchase the ticket and buy it like a local instead of buying it all ahead of time. So anything else?
Any other questions, I guess, quick in our last minute?
Yeah.
I hope you guys all got something out of the budget. I know, I feel like Cindy and I normally don't talk so much about all the stuff we do behind the scenes.
No,
so.
we don't.
Very interesting.
Well,
yeah.
thanks.
I'm glad that somebody asked because we don't even think about it when we're here.
I would love to pretty much visit all of these places that all of you people come from. I've never been to Moscow. I've never been to California or, you know, some of these places. Las Vegas in particular as well, April. So, you know, it's really cool to know that you have all these contacts and connections to just, hey, you know, get in touch with someone and get the best possible advice that you can get, because that's quite valuable, actually.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. And it's also nice, like these coffee chats, and we hope that you're connecting with folks, and, you know, you can message people while we're on the chat or ask. And I mean, if you're traveling to their location, reach out and ask, can we have a cup of coffee? Like you've seen their face on video. Like if they're in a place when you go, you don't have to necessarily be a tour provider. Like if we go to Moscow, I'm sure I could call Natalia and maybe she'd have coffee.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah. And so, you know, that kind of thing. And if you come to California, give me a call. We'll just stop and have coffee or lunch or whatever. I mean, and I didn't go out of our way to, you know, meet, because we like to travel too. So it's the other beautiful thing about these coffee chats is we are now connecting with people across the country and across the world. And, you know, maybe you find somebody just to meet up and make your trip less lonely and make it more local feeling. So.
And that's what the Facebook group is too. And there's there's lots of travel Facebook groups out there, but, you know, interact with the people or ask for advice. You know, you're going to X and have questions. It's amazing if you're in some of those bigger travel groups, the responses you get, and somebody that might be a local that's willing to like just, you know, provide their email, and you can have that email conversation to get some information. Doesn't necessarily, and then, you know, feel it out if it feels comfortable. There's a great coffee person to meet up with.
Yep, absolutely. And I know I've given lots of LA tour recommendations when people are coming. I mean, I send them a huge list. Here's all the things I would do if my family was coming. You know, you have, if you live in the area, you've got a lot of suggestions, and it's things they probably wouldn't get anywhere else because you're a local. So. All right. Well, we're at 10 o'clock.
10,
yeah,
I know. So thank you everyone for joining for the budget tips. I know we kind of got off track, but we do this every 2 weeks. There's a different travel topic. I can't remember what the next, I think it's festivals. Traveling for festivals and events. Yeah. So come, bring your suggestions. There's amazing things, and hope to see you all in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And if you don't have ideas, just come and listen. So we'll hope to see you all soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.